Hi folks, so as you can tell from the title of this video, today we're going to be looking at the FunnyPlaying GBA IPS screen, and obviously I'm going to be installing it into one of my Game Boy Advances that I have. So let's get it started, let's get it open. This is the box it came in, so it comes in another box inside of there. Let's get rid of that first one, and let's see what we've got inside. So I've got here a glass lens. This looks to be like an adhesive to go around the back of the lens to then attach the screen to, so you don't get any dust and dirt in between. There's a dust absorber here, so I imagine you peel it off and you kind of wipe it across the screen to get rid of any dust. Quite straightforward, I suppose. And here's the screen itself. So we've got the screen, and then inside this is the ribbon cable that will do all of the work, sort of taking the signal and doing whatever it needs to do to it. Again, I have no idea how this all works, kind of down to the more technical side, but obviously takes a signal and does some converting or adjustment to make it work with this new screen. So it is super thin, like really thin, I suppose, as an IPS screen would be. Light as well. And then this here, we have the ribbon cable that can be used for both the 32 pin, that being the smaller end, and 40 pin models of Game Boy Advance that you have. So what we're going to do, I'm going to set this to the side because I don't need any of this just yet. And I think what I'll do in this video is just install the screen without the lens and gasket that it comes with, just because this one, it might be hard to see, but it is slightly off center. It's got a thicker edge on the left hand side. This is because when you install this screen, it will sit off center ever so slightly. So like I said, I won't install this yet. I'm going to get it set up first, and then I'm going to kind of maybe order in a few parts to make a more custom Game Boy Advance, because this one at the moment is just a bog standard. It was purple. I don't know if you can see, like, a bit of purple there, and then you can see purple in where the game cartridge would go, but because it's been left out in the sun, it's turned kind of, well, pretty much black, but more grey. It's not quite the same as a black shell that you'd buy. So anyway, I'm just going to take this apart so we can get in and get the original screen removed. So now I've got it completely apart. We have the board separate. I've taken the screen out. What I'm going to do is just get it all hooked up first, just to see and make sure that, well, for one, that it works before putting it all together. So I'm just going to take the board as it is, and we're going to assemble the screen. So we have the board, the screen, and then to connect both of them together, we've obviously got the ribbon cable. So one thing you should note then is on your Game Boy Advance, there should be a number just below where the ribbon cable goes in for the original LCD. That number there says 40, so I know that this is a 40 pin model. So therefore, on the ribbon cable that is supplied by FunnyPlaying, I'm going to be using this thicker end, as obviously the 32 pin one will not have enough pins, and it's actually too small to fit in, so you need to use the thicker one. So what I'm going to do is first of all connect the screen. So you'll see a very small connector at the bottom corner, and this is just a kind of press fit, almost like a spade head. This will just be pressed into the ribbon cable. Okay, you will feel it click in, so just give it a bit of a squeeze. Don't go at it too hard, because you might end up maybe misaligning it and then giving it too much force. and then it won't go in. Okay, so once you've got the screen connected, you're going to have to obviously choose which end you're going to use, 32 pin, 40 pin, and I can't just go ahead and connect this straight away because this is the wrong way, it's facing the wrong way, so I've got to kind of flip the board over and then connect it through, and then we'll try and turn it on this way. Alternatively, I could start to start folding the ribbon cable, but I don't want to do that just yet. So I'm going to simply slot it in from this side, which is obviously a little bit fiddly. So I'm going to flip this over actually, like so. Slot the ribbon cable in all the way. Okay, that's perfect. And just flip it back over so we can see the screen for when we turn it on. And then, like I usually do, it's got this AAA little battery hookup, so let's feed into the terminals. Bit tricky to get at from this angle. Could do with some crocodile clips really on these, but never mind. Okay, what I'm probably going to do is just try and bend this down a little bit. There we go. And then when it's in, just bend it back up to pinch it in place. Alright, that should be good enough. Let's give this a try, so we'll switch it on. Okay, so the screen's working. It's obviously a completely backlit screen for the Game Boy Advance. Just checking the power here, we're on red, so obviously these AAAs aren't really up to scratch to power this game console and the extra load of the backlit screen. So that's fully working. What we're going to do now is I'm going to try and reassemble it back together to kind of have a preliminary fit, but then eventually there's going to be some adjustments needed to be made to the shell in order to fit this in properly. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to install this. There are a few things I would like to do extra, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to get it installed and then just show you how it is installed and in the shell. So, a couple of things. You can install a brightness controller, which would be soldering some wires to certain test points on the board here and obviously onto the ribbon cable. I'm going to cover that in another video. And also the fact that we should really be trimming the shell and fitting it properly so that it's centered, but like I said, for this video I'm just going to get it installed and I'm not too fussed about that. One thing I do need to do is just to make sure, because it's going to be sat in like this with the ribbon cable kind of around this area, these pins here, they don't quite sit flush, so just to keep them from making contact, you shouldn't use electrical tape because it's not great. Use something like Captain tape, but I've not got any and I'm going to order some. Well, actually I've ordered some and it should be here soon, so this will do for now. For the time being, this is perfectly fine. It's just to insulate it. So like I said, I'm going to drop it in. I'm going to fold. So here you've got the screen, this is bottom left corner. This is the, so Game Boy would appear here, written, well, correctly, so you'd see it correctly on the screen, which isn't a great way of explaining it, but anyway. So if you were to then flip it in, so you've got the red tab in the top right, and then the connector in the bottom right, and then I'm going to fold it up on itself. Now there's a bit of an issue here with the connector actually touching the wall here, so if you try and squeeze it in, what it'll do is it'll put it on an angle, and then this kind of needs to come back straight for go in, so it is going to kind of sit a bit higgledy-piggledy, but that's fine for now. It's going to drop in the buttons. Just want to get this together and just see how it looks all put together, looking good. Okay, so I'll deal with the bumpers later. Let me set this in place. In fact, I'm going to put the screen in, then set it down. It's just easier to do it that way. Okay, I'm going to put in, I think all three of the screws will go in actually. Okay, so that's in, the screen's in. It's sitting nice and flush because obviously that screen's a lot smaller, so there's enough room for this ribbon cable to sit as well and give it enough breathing room. It's going to drop on the bumpers and the shoulder buttons. Of course the power switch, let's put it in the off position. Okay, and then get the back cover. That fits on perfectly. And then just for the sake of time, I think I'm going to do just 2 screws at the top, 2 screws at the bottom for now, just so we can get this shell together and held together. Okay, so it's all looking pretty good. Let me just make sure that's, yeah. It's all held together. Let's whack some batteries in. Hopefully these still got a decent amount of charge in them because I use these all the time for testing, so I'm always switching on and off. Nice, completely miscoloured purple battery cover, but never mind. And oh, I've got something under the screen there, that's frustrating. Let's try and wiggle it away, get off the screen. Let's turn it on anyway. And there we go. So it's in, it's sat in. Obviously there's the protector that was on the front that you need to peel off. I'm going to leave that on for now because what I'm going to plan to do is I'm going to buy a shell and do a real cool custom unique Gameboy. I say unique, it's probably been done before, but different to the standard OEM ones that I have. Put this screen in and affix it properly, do all the trimming, and that will be, I'll do that in a separate video, but for now this works. And I'll just grab a quick game. So this Gameboy Color is the only one I had at hand. Let's just boot it up. So I'll get rid of the sound. So it's going to be hard to see because of the way my lighting's set up. It keeps reflecting the light if I put it in a certain angle, but obviously with it being IPS, the viewing angles on this are phenomenal. Now obviously it's not coming out as great on camera, but obviously in person, how I'm looking at it, it looks fantastic. There has been issues or reported issues around possible ghosting, screen tearing, but in all honesty, for the price this is, or the price I paid for picking it up, and the ease of installation, as you can see there, I did no soldering, no modifying of the shell or anything like that. It was as simple as unclip the original, drop this one in, clip it in, and away you go. So for all those factors, it's actually an incredible screen. And like I said, I'm going to do a proper installation in another video where I'm going to buy some different shell colours, different bumpers, and see how that comes out. But for now, that is the GBA IPS screen installed in a 40 pin GBA. Obviously you can do 32 pin, that's perfectly fine. It's exactly the same. So thanks for watching.